May 1940. The German army is invading France, moving at a speed that defies all military logic. They're crossing impossible terrain and fighting for 3 days without stopping to rest. Winston Churchill and the Allied commanders are completely baffled. They ask, how can the human body endure 72 hours of non-stop combat? The answer was found in the medical kits of captured soldiers. It was a small white tablet, chemically engineered to eliminate fatigue. Today on Verified World War II Stories, we're analyzing the Stimulant Decree. We're uncovering the medical history behind the German army's superhuman endurance, the massive pharmaceutical operation that distributed 35 million tablets in just a few months, and the verified medical case of a Finnish soldier who survived a toxic overdose of these substances in the Arctic wasteland. This isn't a story about super soldiers. It's a story about pushing human biology to its breaking point through a dangerous medical experiment. And to understand it, we have to go back to the pharmaceutical industry of the 1930s. In 1937, a company in Berlin called Temmler-Werke patented a new synthetic stimulant. They called it Pervitin. Now it's crucial to remember that regulations back then were very different. This substance was initially sold over the counter, directly to the public. It was marketed as a miracle cure for sluggishness and depression. Think of it like an energy drink, but 100 times more potent and available at any pharmacy. Pervitin was already a part of German society before it ever reached the battlefield. When the war began, a military physiologist named Dr. Otto Ranke saw a tactical opportunity. He understood that a soldier's greatest enemy wasn't always a bullet, but sheer, bone-crushing exhaustion. He proposed using Pervitin to chemically suppress the body's need for sleep. The first large-scale test was during the invasion of Poland, but it was the 1940 campaign in France where its use became systematic. The German strategy, the Blitzkrieg or lightning war, depended on speed. General Heinz Guderian demanded that his tank crews stay awake for 3 days and 3 nights straight to punch through the Ardennes forest. To make this happen, the Army Medical Inspectorate issued the Stimulant Decree. Medical officers were ordered to distribute millions of doses with specific instructions. Use them to maintain wakefulness during critical operations. The result was a military force that simply did not stop for the night. They bypassed French defenses while the enemy slept, appearing where they were least expected. The speed was terrifying and unprecedented. But you can't cheat biology forever. The medical consequences were severe. Soon, alarming reports started coming in from the front lines. The German health ministry grew concerned. Soldiers weren't just awake. They were suffering from extreme adverse reactions. Commanders reported soldiers with severe cardiovascular stress like hearts about to explode. They saw cognitive impairment, with soldiers making irrational and dangerous decisions. After the initial burst of energy, entire units would collapse into a state of total exhaustion that could last for days, rendering them completely useless. The German health minister Leonardo Conti tried to slam on the brakes. In 1941, he reclassified Pervitin under the Opium Law, making it a restricted substance. He warned that the army was permanently damaging the long-term health of its soldiers for short-term gains. But despite his warnings, the tactical need for speed on the battlefield often overruled any concerns for medical safety. And the most extreme documented case of this chemical exhaustion happened not in the German army, but in Finland. This is the verified survival story of Aimo Koivunen. Aimo was a Finnish soldier on patrol in the brutal conditions of the Arctic Circle. On March 18, 1944, his small unit was ambushed by Soviet forces. Isolated, exhausted, and facing deep snow and relentless enemy pursuit, Aimo knew he had to keep moving or die. He was carrying his patrol's entire supply of Pervitin. In the chaos of the escape, fumbling with his heavy winter mittens, he made a critical mistake. He couldn't get a single tablet out, so he emptied the entire bottle into his hand and swallowed them all. That was 30 tablets at once. The standard dose was 1. Aimo had just consumed 30 times the recommended amount. He immediately entered a state of severe toxicity and delirium. He described losing consciousness while skiing, yet his body, pushed by the massive chemical overload, just kept going. When he finally came to, He was alone, separated from his unit, and had somehow traveled over 100 kilometers. For the next week, he survived in the frozen wilderness. He was in a state of continuous hallucination, fighting imaginary enemies. He was seriously injured, even stepping on a landmine, but his system was so overstimulated that his body didn't go into shock. When he was finally rescued and brought to a field hospital, his heart rate was recorded at nearly 200 beats per minute for days. He weighed only 43 kilograms or about 94 pounds. It was a medical anomaly that he even survived such a massive overdose. Aimo Koivunen eventually recovered and lived a long life, passing away in 1989. But his story serves as a terrifying, real-world example of the dangers of these substances. Back on the main front, by 1944, the German army's reliance on stimulants was fading. The initial shock and awe success of the Blitzkrieg couldn't be replicated. The soldiers were physically and mentally depleted. The chemical advantage had turned into a crippling medical liability. The history of Pervitin reveals a harsh truth about World War II. The rapid, early conquests were essentially bought on credit, borrowed against the physical health of the soldiers. You can suppress the need for sleep, but you can never, ever eliminate the biological cost. So what do you think? Was this a calculated military risk necessary for victory, or was it a catastrophic failure of medical ethics? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. In our next video, we're leaving the chemistry lab and heading back to the battlefield with a man who refused to use modern technology. He fought in World War II armed with a longbow and a broadsword. We'll tell the verified story of Mad Jack Churchill, the only man to get a confirmed kill with a bow and arrow in the entire war. Click subscribe to see more verified history come to life. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.